get going. We're ready to go.
Welcome everyone to VTA's Zoom webinar for the BART VTA Phase II project. Now this 5-mile tunnel with 3 underground stations, and at the end of the line, there will be another above ground station with a train yard and a parking garage, is Santa Clara County's largest project to date. We are excited to have Mass Electric Kiewit do the presentation, and we want you to know that it is very important for the DBSBE participation on this project. We have been hired as consultants to make sure that this project move ahead, and there's a vibrant DBE and SBE participation and community built around this project. We are excited to hear what all the information that's coming up, so I hope you are as well. If you have questions, make sure you put them in the chat or in the question and answer. You can chat with each other, put your personal information in. All of this will be gathered. All of this will be put online for your review at the end of this presentation. Kelly. It's always good saying your name, Kelly. But I'm turning this over to you right now. Hope everything is well. And if you need anything, you can put it in the chat. Carol Bean will be responding to many of these of our questions and inquiries as we go forward. Take over, Kelly.
Well, good afternoon. Thank you so much. Reginald, I just want to be sure the next couple of slides were general announcements. But I'm happy to take them over before we dive in. Would you like me to do so?
You know what? I will respond to that next slide. Let me respond to the next couple of slides. There are. We wanted you to know. Could you advance to the next slide, please? We wanted you to know that there has been a short list listed for both the track and tunnel and the systems. And this is the information on the track and tunnel. These are the 3 companies. Kiewit, Shea Taylor, that joint venture, Bay Valley Connectors, and the BART Silicon Valley Phase II tunnel partners. All this information we'll have with the contact information, we'll have this out for you that you can download at the end of this. And we'll go to the next on the systems. The short list on the systems is Mass Electric Construction Company. That's what this presentation is about today. I'm sorry that I didn't say that, Ms. Kelly. And Bechtel. So we do look forward to you sucking in all of this information and making sure that all the information is here for you to make sure you can be part of this project. We are really excited about the DBE, SBE participation on this. And that's why we have been making these Zooms available for you. Okay, Kelly, thank you for reminding me. And I know you could have picked it up.
And you know I would have been happy to do so, but just a little awkward to talk about the competition. Nevertheless, thank you all for joining us today. Thank you, BTA and NBC, for this opportunity to present during this forum. We are excited. We are thrilled to be here. Hopefully you've caught us before with some of our previous outreach and workshops, but if not, here's a chance to get to know us. You likely have noticed that you're hearing from Kiewit and Mass Electric, and that is because, as most of you probably know, Mass Electric is a subsidiary of Kiewit. So we decided we would gladly take this opportunity to talk to you a little bit, not only about the BSV2, the Silicon Valley Phase II extension and the opportunities associated, but also some other opportunities with Kiewit and Mass in the region. So with that, I'll quickly run you through the agenda. And I apologize, I jumped right in, and I'm not sure if I officially introduced myself. I am Kelly. I am with Kiewit. I lead our equity and inclusion efforts. And again, I've had the pleasure of meeting many of you, whether through our outreach or through VTA's many events, including the Meet the Prime. So again, we're just glad to be here, and I'll run you through the agenda and introduce you to our team. So we, again, are going to give you an overview of the Kiewit companies so you understand who we are and how we all come together. We'll spend some time talking about opportunities on the BART Silicon Valley Phase II extension project. I typically try to say that only once, it's such a mouthful, BSV2. And so we'll talk about CP1, 2, and 3, all of which we are pursuing in some form through one of our companies or another. So we'll make sure you understand kind of where those are, where those opportunities are. From there, we will transition and talk a little bit about opportunities with Mass Electric, then Kiewit, and of course, close out with some details on doing business with Kiewit companies. So a little bit about our standards, resources and assistance, and of course, follow up with some questions and answers. So let me introduce our team. So again, I'm Kelly, and thrilled to be here with you. Bill will talk to you about Kiewit corporations and also share a little bit of information about the BSV2. He will turn it over to our friend Dan, who will talk with you specifically about CP1. And Tom will take over. And I think between Tom and Bill, we'll make sure you get what you need on CP2. Jake will talk about opportunities with Mass, as I believe Sydney will also support that conversation, and Rita will share some information about how to work with the Kiewit companies. So with that being said, I hope you already have your coffee or your lunch, and you're prepared to take in some good information. And I will turn it over to my colleague, Bill, to start with our company overview.
Before Bill launches into that information, I would love to find out who is on this webinar. And so we have a poll for you, and then Bill, you can just launch in, but this is an attempt for us to ask you a little bit more about your firm, whether you are design professional services firm or construction or supplier. So please take a moment and respond to this questionnaire. Right now, nobody's responding. Why is that? There's an error. Let me see. I'm going to end the poll and relaunch it and see if that works. Describe your firm. I can relaunch poll. Let's see. Can you see it now? Anybody see? There. Now we're getting the responses. Thank you so much. Well, about 84% of you have responded, and I'm going to end the poll and share the results. And so there's 70% of you are in design or professional services, 15% construction, and 15% suppliers. Thank you so much for taking the poll. Now, Bill, it's your turn.
All right. Thank you, Carol and Reginald and Kelly. Thank you again for the opportunity to get in front of the local community for largely to talk about the BART Silicon Valley Extension project, but also to talk a little bit broader, expand out some information with regard to the Kiewit company and some of the other opportunities in the area that I know Kiewit is looking at. I've been with Kiewit since I started my career several decades ago. I'm kind of one of those rare people who has, been with one employer my entire time. And so that I think by virtue of that, I get the opportunity to talk about the company from its founding in 1884 and a little bit about what it's currently doing in the Bay Area market. I'm an area manager with Kiewit. I'm also the project manager, designated project manager for the Kiewit Shade Trailer joint venture. Reginald mentioned them earlier with regard to BART Silicon Valley CP or Contract Package 2. We're going to talk about that in just a little bit. But a little bit about Kiewit. Kiewit's a large, multidisciplined contractor. You can see, obviously been around for a lot of years and been a big contractor. Whether you look at Engineering News Record or Fortune 500 revenues over 10 billion, lots of design build, that's a project delivery model. that we've been a leader on over a lot of years. And then, like I mentioned, a lot of discipline. But, you know, one thing I want to say is that very often people see Kiewit and they think mega job, you know, and that's all we do. That's really not true. When you really start looking at the pie chart of all of our different projects, we are, you know, doing $500,000 jobs to, you know, billion-dollar jobs, but we're doing far more of the smaller projects. And we find that really helps us connect with the community and gets us great training and opportunity for our people and subcontractors to engage, you know, on a much smaller, more personal level on a job. Not that that doesn't happen on the mega jobs, certainly, but you know, we look at all different types of works. Next slide. Yeah, basically we are a North American contractor. You can see there, you know, coast to coast, border to border, few locations in Canada. We've been in Canada for quite a number of years. You can see a couple of down in Mexico. Just recently, we've expanded, you know, south of the border. We have a big operation in Hawaii. But I will say this, California has been an area that we have worked almost since shortly after our inception, particularly, you know, in Northern California and Southern California, if not the whole West Coast. So even though we're based in Omaha, Nebraska, which is that star right in the middle of your map there, you know, a lot of our work takes place on the coasts, particularly on the West Coasts. So jump to the next slide. So a little bit about the companies that we have engaged with as subsidiaries. I think Kelly or Reginald mentioned Mass Electric as a subsidiary. They're in the, you see that in the lower right corner of this fourplex box here, but starting in the top left, TIC, the industrial company. That's a entity in the Rocky Mountain area that Kiewit acquired, oh, I don't know, 10, 20 years ago. Do a lot of mechanical work, plant work, that type of focus. Iberson in the top right, you see that they do a lot of food and beverage, but they also do a lot of what you're seeing there are grain silos. They do a lot of those types of projects. Lower left, Cherney, they're a big mechanical contractor. In fact, I know Cherney did a project recently in the Bay Area. But if you happen to see TIC, Iberson, Cherney, Mass Electric, you know, those are Kiewit-owned companies. And what's important is that we all share the same culture, the same project controls, the same way of doing business, quite frankly, the same people. And so, you know, we just believe those brands are very strong, TIC, Iberson, Mass, and Cherney. So we've retained the brand. But really, what you're getting behind that when you see that is the Kiewit company. Go to the next slide. We talk about our core values. PIES, it's easy to remember, PIES, people, integrity, excellence, and stewardship. You know, this has been around for a long time. And, you know, it's often sometimes been called different acronyms or core values, but we have always maintained that people are our most valued resource. We used to say they're our most important asset, right? You can talk about equipment, you can talk about financial assets, but, you know, in this business, it truly is about people and communication. I mean, construction projects are inherently challenging. And, you know, what we want to be able to do is not make them more challenging, you know, through not having good communication, good people skills, good connectivity amongst our staff and with our subcontractors and our engineers and our clients. So, you know, we really, really focus on the people side of our business, training, retention, hiring, promoting within, you know, taking on experienced people. We're looking to grow in any number of fronts. And then integrity, excellence, and stewardship. And, you know, I would jump right around to the stewardship portion of this. This is going to be a big part of the success of the BART Silicon Valley Phase II extension. Connecting with the community, whether it's in subcontracting opportunities, workforce opportunities, or quite frankly, just being a good neighbor and making sure that, you know, our construction operations are non-impactive or least impactive, making sure that everybody is aware of what's going on in their neighborhood from a work standpoint, but also giving back. And whether it's mentorship, whether it is engagement with local firms or advocacy groups, we're going to be there. That's just the way that we do business. It's one of our core values. You can go to the next slide. Safety. We always talk about safety. You know, we're proud of our safety. Kind of our record speaks for itself. I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on the bullets, other than the fact that, you know, we have programs, we have policies, we have accountability. And we also understand that when a subcontractor comes on the job, we really want them to engage at the project level. They may have their own program and plans. We may learn something from what the subcontractors are doing, specifically to specialty work. But, you know, we're also going to be there in a support role, in a coaching role, in a mentor role, to really help everybody with their safety on the program, because, you know, it isn't an us and them a situation with safety, whether you're a subcontractor, a consulting firm. I mean, we are one team when it comes to safety, and we're reporting, you know, one set of data and numbers, and one person, every person on the job, whether they are the client or the owner, the contractor, the subcontractor, you know, we are all the same when it comes to safety and protecting people, our own people and the public for that matter. You can go to the next slide. Same thing with quality. It's another compliance program. We speak with safety and quality almost in the same breath. It's about, you know, making sure that quality is across all of our operations. I look at it this way, that you need to know your requirements. I saw 70% of the people on the call are on this presentation are from the design and engineering community. So you're all used to developing specifications and requirements. That's where it starts, knowing them. The second thing is making sure that we train and we develop our people to understand that they plan for quality, that they know their requirements, and then we document, and that we make sure that we create a condition where we can always support the work that we build, that it was built per the requirements and the specifications. You can go to the next slide. Environmental, that obviously has been big, and it's just getting bigger. It's very similar to a compliance program. Safety, quality, and environmental is a portion of the work that we have to incorporate into all of our planning of our operations, whether we're handling water, we're handling spoils, materials, having a project-specific program, again, where we train, we document, we audit, we make sure that everything is done in a compliant way through our requirements, and that we're always communicating and transparent when it comes to managing our environmental programs at the project level. Go to the next slide. And sustainability, you know, that's becoming, you know, bigger and bigger again every year. Things like hybrid vehicles, things like, you know, recycling, all of those things on a construction project that are becoming more and more important. Air quality management, water quality management. You know, a lot of times that we'll put in our subcontracting agreements is, you know, certain recycling targets that everybody on the project needs to meet. It's just a part of the way we're doing business, and making sure that from the environment and sustainability, that we are being as least impacted from our operations as we can. Next slide. And diversity. That's a little bit one of the main topics of why we're here today. I've said this a lot of times, is that, you know, I've been on a number of projects where, you know, you can talk about success of safety, quality, the environment, the sustainability, you know, but when you start talking about the pillars of success of a project, cost, schedule, safety, quality, all of those. Well, you need to put in subcontracting and diversity and making sure that we're affording the opportunities, that we're engaging people on the job, that the people who live in the community where this project is being built get that opportunity to participate on the project to the maximum extent possible. It's a two-way street. And so that's the way that we measure success on the job. And certainly our client, the VTA, has set a high bar that we need to jump over. We need to meet, if not exceed, all of the goals and the requirements that they've provided the project. And that's certainly our plan. That's our commitment that we have for the VTA program. You go to the next slide. Okay, I think we have one slide here, and then I'm going to kick it over to Dan. I think that if you followed the Silicon Valley Extension Phase II, you've probably seen this slide a number of times. You see 4 contract packages there: systems, tunnel and track work, new haul yard and stations, CP 1 through 4. I'm going to be talking about CP2, but first Dan's going to talk about CP1 systems, but you can see the timeline there. You can kind of see where each project is. And I would say this, that then with regard to CP2, tunnel and track work, we just submitted our proposal to VTA last week. So we're kind of going into a bit of a quiet period as the proposals are evaluated, and sometime after the first of the year, we expect VTA to get back to the proposers as to the next procurement steps. But that doesn't mean that we're still not engaging and looking to have you engage with us and give us the information on your firms. Kelly's going to talk about that in a little bit. But I'm going to kick it over to Dan now to talk a little bit about CP1. Go ahead, Dan.
Thank you, Bill. And good morning, good afternoon, everybody. Quick introduction. My name is Daniel Pullen. I'm with Mass Electric. I oversee some of our projects in the Southwest United States, and I'm providing a leadership role for the estimating team here on the CP1 contract package 1 pursuit here for the BSV extension. So talk a little bit about the scope of work for that, and then I'll talk a little bit about what we see as some of our partnering and subcontracting opportunities, and then take a little bit of time to wrap it up with how you can stay connected with us as we move forward with this. So Mass Electric has been shortlisted as one of the 2 firms to provide a proposal on the CP1 contract. And this is really a turnkey systems prime contract, and that includes soup to nuts. So the design, procurement, installation, local testing, systems integration testing, and turnover for all of the rail systems, for the extension, and as well as integration amongst all of the other 3 contract packages. So it's really a full turnkey solution that we're looking to provide for VTA. Some of the specific systems that we're going to be providing are the traction power system, which is comprised of really 3 major components. It's the high voltage substation, 100,000 volts, down through the medium voltage system, 34.5 kV system, which provides the traction power to the trains, and all of the low voltage systems, which provide power to various stations and tunnel systems and elements throughout the project. So that's kind of the whole turnkey design, installation, procurement, test, and integration scope there for the traction power system. The next scope is train control. So we're providing a turnkey ATC system for the extension as well as the new haul yard. And so we've got all of the design and installation, procurement, testing for that as well. The communication systems. So there's over a dozen communication subsystems on this project. It's a very intricate and complicated arrangement of subsystems from CCTV to passenger information displays, access control, fire alarm, et cetera. We're going to be providing a key role in designing and integrating those subsystems throughout the extension. Next is the emergency ventilation system. So we'll be looking to design, procure, and install the emergency ventilation system, as well as all of the the fans, dampers, and controls that are associated with that. Really making sure that we're able to move air in and out of the tunnel and the plenums and station areas throughout the extension. And the last component to the scope is, what we're calling programmatic systems integration. So it's not only the core systems, rail systems that I just mentioned before, but also all of the other systems related to the other CP contracts, whether that be MEP or other various systems that are tested. Our job is to integrate that as one whole complete package from start to finish. Next slide, please. So kind of where we're at right now, we've received several drafts of the RFP. We're working through that, providing comments to VTA and helping clarify, what is a very robust and complicated scope from a system standpoint. And so we'll be continuing to do that. In conjunction with that, we've mobilized our design team. Kiewit Engineering will be the lead engineer of record for us, and we're working through our preliminary engineering so that we can start to quantify, the cost estimate for the pursuit. That is ongoing as well. This is potentially an 8 or 9 year project, and the first 2 to 3 years of that will have a heavy focus on design. And then after that, we'll start moving into procurement and construction and testing and integration. Most of our work from a systems installation standpoint will start, obviously after design is complete. And so we're, that's in the 2025 range. But, from an outreach perspective, we're really looking to partner and engage with, the local firms, especially you here that are on the Zoom call today, so that we can look for opportunities, look for where there is alignment, help us kind of quantify, what this pursuit is going to look like. And so we'll definitely be interested in speaking with you and really figuring out how we can work together to win this project. That is all I have on that slide. And let me talk a little bit about some of the areas where we see those opportunities. So I talked a little bit high level about the different scopes that we're providing in this pursuit. So the big one where we see opportunities is going to be in the emergency ventilation system. So we're looking for opportunities to perform the installation of the various fans and dampers associated with that. There's a very large amount of cabling on this project, and that's in the traction power copper cable, it's in the signal and control and communications cable, as well as the fiber optic backbone. So there's just a huge amount of opportunity there, both on the procurement side and even on some of the installation and potentially splicing and testing. Next big bucket for us we're looking at is there's various communications and signal racks that we'll be installing, really the brains of the signal and comm system. Those will be located at various rooms and facilities throughout the station. So we're looking for opportunities to partner with firms there who have experience in handling and installing that type of equipment. We will be, as I mentioned, providing the traction power substations for most of the locations. Those are located underground within the facility, but we do have a large high voltage substation that will be installed at grade And we're looking for firms that have experience either with site work or even the procurement and installation of those high voltage substations, and as well as the medium voltage gear as well. So that kind of wraps up, I would say the big buckets of the work items. And then you can see on the right column there are a ton of other opportunities for logistical and management support that we're looking for, whether it be quality inspections or scheduling. We'll be moving a ton of materials and equipment back and forth from our central warehouse to various staging areas throughout the project. So opportunities to really, help us work and deliver the equipment more efficiently throughout the project. And the last couple areas that we'll be looking at, as well as signage, test support, and MOT. So that a lot of opportunity there, and really excited about working with you and seeing where we can work together on this. Next slide, please. Thank you. So just kind of high level, connecting with MEC, this is kind of the process that we've set up for the pursuit. We've got a general subcontractor questionnaire, and really what that does is it allows you to kind of get into our database where we've got your contact information. We understand a little bit about your background, as a company, and really where your qualifications align with our needs. And so the best opportunity that we think we can get aligned on scope and finding the right fit is really through populating this subcontractor questionnaire with the right level of detail. And the second method that we're using to stay connected through this pursuit, and this will be the primary tool that we use for communicating upcoming RFQs or addendums or various communications, will be through Building Connected. It's an industry software that we're using pretty regularly now. And once you get signed up with a Building Connected account, that allows you to receive updates from us, as we start to step into this next phase of getting out of kind of understanding the contract and really starting to put the estimate together. So that's a little bit about how to connect with us. And I want to, thank you for your time, and look forward to meeting with you all in the future.
All right. Thank you, Dan. I think go to the next slide. I'm going to talk a little bit about Contract Package 2. The best way to think about this overall program is, even though it's Contract Package 2, it really is the first one. It is the contract that's going to build the infrastructure, call it the shell of the entire 5 to 6 mile system and the 3 underground stations. And then CP1 will come in and do the electronics, the systems, the technology that governs the trains. CP3 will build out the stations in the big excavations that CP2 has built. And then CP3 is going to be the Newhall yard where where CP2 will be doing most of its work. CP4, that will be the station contract that will build back the stations in the big excavated holes that CP2 has developed. So CP2, as you can see on the left there, it's a 5-mile single bore tunnel. It's a large diameter bore. It's somewhere just almost 50 feet in diameter. You can see the scale of the trains and the people in the tunnel there. And this is very unique in the United States. This is a very different approach to doing these tunnels versus 2 smaller bore tunnels that, for those that have been in LA or in Seattle on the East Coast, in Chicago, that's a much more traditional mode of doing transit rail. But this job is innovative in and of itself with this large diameter tunnel that you see here. There's going to be 3 stations. Working from, I'll say, from the west to the east. The first station is Diridan, which is right in front of the Sharks arena. The second station is downtown San Jose, right between 1st and 3rd in downtown San Jose. And then the third station is what's called 28th Street, Little Portugal, right over by the cathedral. That's on the further east end of the job by 101. So those are the 3 stations. You go to the next slide. Okay, this is the same slide that Dan had, talks a little bit about CP2. It's progressive design build. And what should be interesting certainly for everybody on this call is that, it's as a progressive design build, that means that the entire project team, including the contractor, Kiewit Shea Trailer, the client, VTA, as well as all of our design firms and contracting firms that would get engaged during the design phase are going to be involved in collectively and collaboratively building out the design, evaluating best options, taking a look at cost schedule risk, subcontracting opportunities. So it's a very engaged and participatory model. And it's certainly something that we're seeing more and more on these mega projects, such as a CP2. And it's just a great way of making sure there's transparency, building a foundation for when you start constructing of trust and transparency between all parties on the project. It's been very successful, and we certainly look forward to having the opportunity to participate, provided we win the project. The diversity requirements, it's 20% SBE, 15% DBE. Those are not additive. It's 20% SBE, of which 15% is to be DBE on the project goals. It's a best value selection. I mentioned we turned proposals in last week. It involved a technical approach, a management approach. So it's now in VTA's court to evaluate the proposals and decide who offers the best value to the community, to the BSV2 program. Schedule, proposal deadline was Friday. Notice of award is targeted for mid-January. That's the current. There's some expectations that may push out a week or two, simply because the proposal deadline pushed out a week or so. But sometime after the first of the year, certainly that there'll be a notice of award so that we can all meet the NTP1 date of the 3rd week of April. That's when the progressive design build process will start. The completion date, late 2028. Go to the next slide. This is our team. Won't spend a lot of time on it. Kiewit Shea Trailer. I mentioned Kiewit is the lead entity of the joint venture. JF Shea's in Southern California. Trailers Brothers is in Southern California. So we have a big operation in Northern California. We're a California contractor and a California team supported by Kiewit Engineering Group. Shannon and Wilson and Arup are our specialty design firms. So that's our team that we're pursuing the CP2 project with. You go to the next slide. A lot of opportunities. To the extent the schedule holds, which by all accounts it certainly seems to be. If we get that NTP1 in April of 2022, there are a bunch of scopes that are going to pop right away. The one thing I will say about the schedule on these jobs, it is aggressive. And so we need to be on top of our game in identifying opportunities, getting them packaged, doing the outreach, connecting with everybody, and then having, the fair and transparent procurement process to give everybody the opportunity to participate on the job, and a lot of scopes. So we're talking about a lot of procurements starting late winter, early spring of this coming year. You go to the next slide. Advancing a little bit later to next year, there are several what we call early works packages. So call it early construction packages that will take place during the progressive design build phase. We call that stage 1. It's a lot of site prep, utility work, some early investigations to help finalize and advance and refine the design. Those are the scopes that you see here. So, you know, it's coming, and it's coming quickly. You go to the next slide. And that right now, with an anticipated, call it a stage 2 NTP sometime in the third quarter of 2023, be a lot more opportunities well beyond those early work opportunities that I just showed you. I think this is the same slide that Dan showed. I know that Kelly and myself and Tom and others have been out there with this. I think our subcontractor questionnaire is fairly far advanced, but like I said, even though we're in kind of a quiet time right now, we're still looking to add and populate and build out our database so that when we do hit the ground running sometime that second quarter of 2022, you know, we feel like we're off and running. And that we really understand the market out there and the opportunities and start that connection. You can go to the next slide. I think that's going to do it for me. Thank you all very much. I'll obviously be around for the Q&A, but I'd like to kick it over to my colleague, Tom Trimble, who's going to talk a little bit about Contract Package 3. Go ahead, Tom.
Okay, thank you very much, Bill. Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you all for attending. Looks like we got a great turnout today. So my name is Tom Trimble, and I've worked with Kiewit for not quite as long as Bill, but 30 years or so for me. And most of it's been right here in the Northern California Bay Area, and been involved in all kinds of different projects. Very excited that we're a part of all of this CP BART Silicon Valley Phase II contracts. We're pursuing 3 of the 4 packages, and I'm going to talk to you about Contract Package 3. So Contract Package 3 is at the end of the line for this Phase II program. So it's the Newhall Yard Maintenance Facility, which will include a yard track and storage for, I believe, up to 88 trains, and it'll be a full service maintenance facility that has all kinds of stuff, washers and wheel truers and all kinds of stuff like that. It also is going to include an at-grade BART Santa Clara station. And that's going to be in conjunction with the Santa Clara station for Caltrain also. Caltrain station is there, and it's just going to be, I think there's going to be a walkway or something like that. And then there'll also be a 500 space parking garage servicing the BART Santa Clara station. As of right now, there are no goals identified. Let's go to the next slide, please. So this is just kind of a schematic of where it's at. You can see in the upper part of the slide, that's where the airport is. And then on the lower part of the slide, just to the right off the slide is Santa Clara University. And then you can see the existing Santa Clara station servicing Caltrain. So the BART station that we'll build will be just on the other side of the tracks there. And that's where the parking garage will be also. And then all of that in yellow is kind of the Newhall Yard maintenance facility. And that'll have a lot. And that'll be where the launching of the TBM, the tunnel boring machine, will happen at the upper part of the slide there. So we'll be working in conjunction with CP2 on that yellow space that you see there. Next slide, please. So similar to the other slides like this, the estimated budget for this is around $400 million. You know, we'll see when we get all of the documents. So this particular project is a fixed price or lump sum design build, similar to CP1, not like CP2. As I mentioned before, the diversity requirements aren't out yet. Where we're at in the process is about 2 weeks ago today, we submitted a statement of qualifications for this project. So that's under evaluation right now. And the intention of VTA is to select a shortlist for this contract package by, I think, January or February. They'll select a shortlist. And then sometime after that, in the coming months, there'll be an RFP for a lump sum design build proposal. And that, in all likelihood, is probably not going to be turned around until the latter part of 2022. So I'd say the fall to the maybe Q4 of 2022 will be when we turn in the proposal for that. So next slide. Okay, I'm going to hand it over to Daniel. Daniel might have had some connectivity issues. I'm not sure, but.
Hi, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes, Daniel.
Sorry, I'm in Southern California and it's storming. I lost my internet, but I'm here on my phone. So we're going to walk through the next slides here. Okay, are we at the Mass Electric construction slide?
We are, Dan.
Okay, sorry, I'm working on my phone here.
No
So
worries.
thank you. So Bill, Bill gave you all an overview of the Kiewit organization as a whole, and I just wanted to talk a little bit specifically about Mass Electric and what we do. So Mass Electric was founded in 1928. We were in business for almost 80 years before we were acquired by the Kiewit organization, and since then we've really operated as a wholly owned subsidy of Kiewit. And to Bill's point, like we're really culturally aligned. Our business practices are aligned. And really, the main difference that you see there is the brand. What's a little unique about our organization is sometimes as a subsidiary, we have the opportunity to bid as a subcontractor to Kiewit, and sometimes we'll bid to other prime contractors. For this specific pursuit, we're pursuing this contract as a prime ourselves, which is not uncommon. Very often agencies look for a systems contractor to come over and take over the full ownership of the scope when it's as complex as something like this. So, we started off mostly as an industrial and commercial electrical contractor in the early 1900s, and since then, over the past 30 years, have really grown to specialize in rail transit systems. And as you can see here on the slide, we've done over $1 billion of light rail work here in the last 30 years and various projects, all throughout the country and North America. So, this is a market that we've really grown and thrived in, and really kind of carves out a big chunk of who we are. So next slide, please. And so, for us as a transportation district within the Kiewit organization, we wanted to take some time here to highlight, some of the areas where we specialize in transportation, and then I'll talk a little bit about what we do in the industrial space. Obviously, a big part for us, and what most of the work that we're involved with in the transit market is with light rail and mass transit, but we also work on streetcars, intelligent transportation systems. A lot of the industry has grown to optimize traffic movement, and we're very experienced in those systems as well as freight lines. Down here in Southern California, we've maintained over 400 miles of Metrolinx commuter rail service for almost 30 years, and have done that in various other agencies and properties throughout the nation. So the freight and the commuter rail piece is almost the backbone of where we started in the transportation space, and we really kind of hit the entire spectrum of rail transit here in terms of our capabilities. Next slide, please. And the second big focus for us is industrial, and it always has been. So Mass Electric is split into two divisions within the Kiewit organization: transportation and the industrial market here. Our industrial group will be very involved supporting Kiewit on the CP2 contract and potentially some of the other CPs that come out as well. And that space for us has been solely around commercial and federal work, big power plants and substations, underground and overhead transmission. A lot of focus recently, and the market continues to grow, has been around renewable energy. I've done a lot of solar work here in the last 10 years. And also, specialty low voltage communication systems, as well as, water related infrastructure, whether that be supporting, some of the bigger water treatment facilities. Done a lot of work on both coasts with that. So really big emphasis on the industrial market focus, and just wanted to take some time to highlight that. That's kind of who we are, what we're about, the two big areas that markets that we play in. And next, I'll transition to Jake Myers. Jake's an estimator with us. He's going to talk a little bit about some of the opportunities that we have coming up, not just on the VTA pursuit, but other areas as well. Jake, I'll go ahead and hand it off to you. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Dan. So like Dan said, my name is Jake Myers. I'm an estimating manager for Mass Electric, and specifically working on the CP1 estimate right now. And today we wanted to share with you a couple of opportunities on projects that we're looking at in the California area coming up fairly soon, as well as some details around some scopes that we generally subcontract. And then I'll also note that while the projects that I talk about today are mostly in the California area, we do work in many places around the country. So if there's a work in other areas that you see transit-related project coming out for bid, there's a high likelihood that we're looking at that as well. So if there's a project you're interested in that isn't shown today, still please reach out. And then hopefully throughout this process on CP1, we can build some relationships and carry those to the projects that we look at around the country and locally to the California area as well. So the first one that we have here is the G-Line Improvements Project, or the Orange Line. This is a BRT project, Bus Rapid Transit Project. And so the owner for this job is LA Metro, and it's in the San Fernando Valley area. So Southern California, but still in the California area. Right now, this is planned to start RFP advertisements in the beginning of next year, so Q1 of 2022, and start construction in 2023. And then the planned open is in the 2026 range, with an overall project budget of around $300 million. And they haven't identified a DBE-SP participation goal as of yet, but will once the RFP comes out, I'm sure. And so part of what this job is to upgrade an existing line with several grade separations on major streets and give better signal priority to the buses that drive by, and as well as add electronic bus connectivity and a 4-quadrant gate system. So the general idea is to make it a bus rapid transit essentially. So it's similar to your typical transit system that you would see like an LRT, but a bus instead of an actual LRT in this case. So trying to get a faster transit system around the LA area. So that's the first one here. And then if we want to go to the next slide. This is a similar project. This one actually connects into the Orange Line that you can see on the map to the right there. So this is the East San Fernando light rail project, a 9.2 mile light rail project for LA Metro again. This one will be split into 2 phases and extend the Orange Line north and hit 14 new transit stations as an extension to the San Fernando Valley line. So again, the owner is LA Metro and in the San Fernando Valley area. This one will be a little bit later in 2022. We're projecting Q4 of 2022 right now, with a construction start date right around that same time. So a fairly quick start once the RFP comes out, and a forecasted completion of 2028. And the overall project budget here is projected to be over $1 billion. Obviously, that's the full project. The systems scope would be somewhat smaller than that, but still a large project for Mass Electric, but an even larger project overall. And the same as the last job that we looked at, the DVSBD participation goal hasn't been set as of yet, but certainly will be once we get further on in the procurement. So this is a full systems project. That might not mean too much to you, but generally to us, that means an OCS system, so the overhead contact system, that's the power to the train, as you see in the picture behind me here. As well as the traction power system, so the actual power to that OCS system, communications, and train control and electrical. So lots of potential there on that project. So stay tuned for that one. And then we'll go to the next slide. This is a pretty similar slide to what Dan showed previously for CP1, but that's partially because we are a specialty contractor, and a lot of the time the scopes that we generally subcontract don't change all that much. I will say that the 34.5 kV is relatively specific to the CP1 project, though that is something similar across the country, or in other places, I should say. And then in general, we will subcontract out most of the civil work, so the facility civil work and TPS duct bank and ground grids and stuff like that, whenever it does fall into our scope. And then some of the more specialized communications items and a lot of the basic electrical sort of work within rooms and in stations and stuff like that. We would a lot of times subcontract. And then it's getting fairly typical that we would subcontract some logistical support. So moving things around the cities that we're working in, just because a lot of times the materials aren't where they need to be. And so we move them around the area to get them from our warehouse to where they actually need to be. And so this is, I won't go through every item on the list here, but I will say that this is certainly not an exhaustive list. Generally, if there's a scope that it makes sense to subcontract, we're all ears, even if it's not something that that we would typically do. We want to do whatever's best for the overall project. So I will, with that, I'll turn it over to Rita to talk a little bit more about the Kiewit opportunities.
Thank you, Jake. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Rita Encarnacion. I am part of Kiewit Infrastructure Westco, or Kiewit, here in Northern California. Been with the company here for 14 years and worked on several projects here in the Bay Area and along the West Coast and even in Canada. So my overview, next slide, please, is just to talk a little bit about Kiewit. Again, as a large organization that we are, and then some other Northern California opportunities. So earlier in our presentation, Bill spoke about our market diversity. Here are some percentages for how that kind of breaks out across our corporation. We have a very long history. We are well developed in many parts of the country, especially here in Northern California. Primarily here in Northern California, we are busy in the transportation sector, in water, power, a bit of industrial. And so we're going to talk about some of those opportunities shortly. We are a company that's putting in over $12 billion. That's what our numbers were in 2020, and steadily getting better, actually, even through the pandemic, holding strong. We're a company that's privately held. We are stockholders. That means the employees have stake in the game. We're working for ourselves. And we bring that attitude and that discipline to all of our projects. When Bill said that, you know, when you're working with any of the Kiewit companies, you're working with similar types of people, that's absolutely true. We have standardized operations, ways of doing business, and we carry that forward as part of our culture. Something that we also pride ourselves in is our equipment fleet. That allows us to do a lot of work all throughout the country. Moving that equipment around enables other areas to capitalize on opportunities when other parts of the country are a little stagnant. So we help each other out. And in doing so, we're consistently ranked in the top 10 of ENR's rankings for top contractors. Next slide, please. So here's another breakdown of what the Kiewit Corporation looks like, the different markets that we work in, different project sectors. The Northern California District is part of Kiewit's infrastructure group. We're mostly regionally based. And here in California, we have a Northern California District, a Southern California District. Our Northwest District and Virgin Marine districts also work in the area, just depending on the types of projects. Caltrans, as many of you know and have worked with probably in the past, has many districts all over the state, lots of work to do. And so the Kiewit companies are spread around to bid that work and build that work. We're proud of our history here in California. Next slide, please. So I have a few projects to talk to you all about today. We're very excited for the future, especially here in Northern California. With recent infrastructure bills and different bonds passed, there's some impressive work and work that we can all be proud to bid and build hopefully one day. The first project is the P3 Purified Water Project. This is with Valley Water in the Santa Clara region. This project itself is in San Jose. It is a new advanced water purification facility. And the RFP for that is coming out in 2022. So we're still pursuing this job. We are shortlisted, and construction will probably take place between 2023 and 2026, as long as those schedule dates hold. Next slide, please. This project is also another Valley Water project, the Coyote Pumping Plant Replacement Project in Morgan Hill, another South Bay job. This one is more mechanically and electrically focused, replacing the adjustable speed drives or ASDs on some very large pumps. We have also been shortlisted on this job, looking for 2022 to 2025. So another project that spans several years. It is a progressive design build. Next slide, please. So we also service the Sacramento region. This project is for Regional SAN out of Elk Grove. It is a new biogeneration facility to be built on site where Regional SAN's current treatment plant is. As many of you know, that site has been expanding over the last 5 years or so. Lots of major projects out there, and this is another one with the biogen facility. This is a project that we're actually partnering with our power district because of that feature on the work. So we are shortlisted, and we'll be looking at bidding this one in 2022. Again, this is a design build job, so there will be a need for subcontractor input as we develop our design. This is a fixed price design build, so it's a little bit different than the progressive design builds. And lastly, the next job I want to talk about is the Cordelia truck seals job. This one is a Caltrans project that we are actually recently awarded to CMGC. So we'll be beginning pre-construction very soon in the first part of 2022. And construction will begin in 2024. So throughout those 2 years, we're going to be working on the design with Caltrans and taking on subcontractors to build that work and develop the estimate for the GMP. Hopefully it does convert into construction for all of us to take part in 2024. All 4 jobs that I talked about today, if you'd like more information on them, you can go ahead and contact norcal.bids@kiewit.com. And these slides again will be sent out, so you have the information at your fingertips when you do contact us. Now, the next slide, there are many of you on the call today, all offering different services. These are some of the subcontractor scopes of work that the Northern California District typically solicits for, whether it's a transportation project, a water Caltrans. These are certain things that we just don't do. So we are always looking for support. Many of you have history with us, and we're looking to expand that and also work with new subcontractors and also small businesses. It's important for us to also take a look at the magnitude of work on some of these large projects. And packages that include work that we typically do can also be broken out for opportunities for other subcontractors. Next slide, please. So how do you work with us? Let's talk a little bit about that. Next slide, Britt. We're looking for subcontractors that are not just going to give us the lowest price. Of course, that matters, but we're also looking for your dedication to safety and quality, what your capabilities are, how long you've been in the business, and whether we worked with you before. We want a successful project, and that can be shaped in a lot of different ways. It's not just about cost. And hopefully through working together, we help each other out as well. Next slide. Safety, as Bill mentioned, is #1 for us. On all of our projects, we take it very seriously, and we incorporate our subcontractors into our safety culture. And if you've ever worked on a Kiewit job, you know that we start every day with a safety meeting. All of our operations have their own analysis on safety before it can begin. We take our orientations and indoctrinations very seriously on day 1 and expect the same from our team members. Next slide, please. And then on top of that, and also very importantly, we have a zero tolerance policy for discrimination and harassment. This day and age, we just don't tolerate people being disrespected, and we encourage all of our employees to always do the right thing and handle themselves with integrity and maintain an inclusive environment. So if these are things that interest you, whether it's project-wise or scope, or just to learn more about our company, you can contact norcal.bids and follow some of the directions here on the screen. On subject line, make sure you mention this outreach and the projects that you're interested in knowing more information about. The Northern California District uses Building Connected and Smart BidNet to solicit to subcontractors and put out in advertisements. And so our coordinators will get in contact with you to make sure that your information is up to date in our systems, or if new profiles need to be created, they'll get you set up.
Rita, before you go on, we have a poll about connecting. What are the best ways to inform your firm about outreach and subcontracting opportunities? I'm hoping this poll is, I might have to relaunch it like I did the last one. For some reason, it doesn't want to do that. Relaunch the poll. Let's see if that works. What are the best ways to inform your firm about outreach and subcontracting opportunities? Multiple choices, so you can say more than one. This was really important. I thought Kiewit did a great job asking this question so that they know the best way to reach you. And if you want to continue with the next phase, I will reveal the results at the end of it.
All right, thanks, Carol. Just a few more slides for me, and then we'll go to Sydney. So we also have a slide here about subcontracting with Mass Electric. You can contact Sydney. He'll be actually speaking right after me. But again, indicate which projects you're interested in learning more information about, and follow the directions on this slide. I won't go through every bullet. But both companies, we have similar protocols for getting in contact with our subs. We promise we won't spam you, but we want to make sure we have the right information to help everyone out. So one more slide from me. And again, some key contact information for some of the specific pursuits that we're talking about today. So thanks again, everyone, and I hope you're getting some good information out of us today in this presentation. Sydney?
Good afternoon, My name is Sydney. I'm a purchasing agent with Kiewit, and I am specifically supporting Mass Electric for the CP1 project. So I get the distinct pleasure of talking to you about the resources and assistance that Kiewit and Mass Electric are able to offer as you partner with us. So if you, next slide, please. We're in the home stretch of this presentation, so just know that we'll be wrapping up and moving on to Q&A shortly. So I'd like to briefly cover one of the virtual resources that we have made available to you. This is our Technical Assistance Hub. Kiewit and Mass Electric are large organizations with established business practices, and doing business with us, if you haven't done it before, could be overwhelming. So we've made resources available so that if you have any questions about accounting, bonding, certification, prevailing wage, any standard business practices, that you can bookmark this tab to your browser, quickly access it, and you don't have to go through the trouble of emailing and asking questions and things like that. So that's something that our team has put together for you. I believe Britt's going to leave a link in the chat, and we'll also make these slides available for you as well. So next slide, please. So we have put on several technical assistance workshops in the past, covering a couple of the bullet points that you see below. Bill gave a great overview of our progressive design build structure. But if you want more information about that, you can jump quickly into any of these past workshops. We have these recorded. If you need more information or assistance about certification, understanding project requirements, or if you want to know more about the tool that we use pretty heavily, Building Connected, I believe that's been mentioned several times during this presentation. You're more than welcome to jump into these presentations and learn more for yourself. Next slide, please. Okay, so Kiewit has done a lot of mentoring with our partnerships. We've talked about people and how much we value people and the relationships that we establish with our partners. And part of that includes mentoring programs that we've implemented in the past to help our partners come alongside us, get the work, build the work, and then complete it successfully. So in this slide, we have just kind of an overview of several of the things that we've done in past mentoring programs to help you alongside. So just take a look at that and know that when we win, if we win, I'm going to be positive and say when we win these projects, keep an eye out for these programs. We will be implementing project-specific programs for these, and just know that our interests align with yours. We want to bring you alongside us and do well together. So next slide, please. And also stay tuned for our future events. Kiewit and Mass Electric are always looking for opportunities to engage with diverse companies all throughout the California area. So keep an eye out for future Mass Electric events. We'll be sending out notifications. Make sure you're subscribed to our email list through the subcontractor questionnaire that we've sent out in the past. And there will be a link in the slide that gets sent out on this page to join our database. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Kelly to wrap us up.
So before we get to Kelly, I wanted to add a poll. You asked about supportive services, and I want to make sure that people get a chance to answer that. And what supportive services does your firm find most valuable? So thank you for taking a moment while you do that. It helps those of us who provide services to know what is of most interest to you. And Kelly, if you want to continue on, because we want to have enough time for Q&A, I'll share the results of the poll after, when it ends.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Carolyn. Thank you, team. Friends, I hope that you are still here with us. We understood the assignment, and that was to provide you with lots of information about what's happening with Kiewit and Mass Electric, and some background on what we have going on and how to connect with us. And so I do hope that the information you received over the last few moments was helpful. So that being said, my assignment is to quickly close us out. I have less than a minute, so I want to make sure that you understand that we are committed. We are here to partner not only with our clients, but with the community and with our subcontractors. And so in doing so, we are looking to maximize opportunities on everything we build. And we do that by dividing work into economically feasible packages, seeking out businesses, really looking for opportunities to connect and get to know you, building upon new relationships and old relationships, and of course, fostering development and growth. And so that being said, again, we just want to thank you genuinely for taking time to spend this afternoon with us and learn about what we're doing and how you might fit into that. And we do hope to hear from you in the future, and we look forward to seeing you at our future events. So thank you again.
So I believe we're moving on to Q&A right now. So I am going to open this up so you can see everybody's faces. And I think Kelly and Britt are going to be helping read the questions that you've put in the Q&A. Make sure you do that if you have a question, to add it to the Q&A icon on your computer. It should be at the end of your at the bottom of your screen. Kelly, you are still on mute.
Be on mute. I was testing you, Carol. I was making sure your mute button was working. So the first question I think came in during the presentation on CP1. If not, please raise a hand and let us know differently. The question is, who is helping with preliminary design for estimating purposes? Is there a need for help from consultants? And so I think Tom, no, I'm sorry. Who covered CP1? No, I think Daniel's off. Can someone take that for us? Tom?
Sure. So I think I can take that one for CP1. I think we're relying on our KIE folks within Kiewit for a good chunk of the preliminary design. And then I think most of the consultants that we need for the pre-bid stuff, we have got on board at this point, just because we're well into the procurement side of things. We'll certainly talk to anybody that would be interested in that sort of thing, in that sort of scope.
Thank you, Jake. Sorry, I forgot you were hanging out with us. So the next question pertains to CP2. So I hope we have maybe Bill or Tom ready to answer. How many TBMs will be used for construction?
I can take that, Kelly. I am here. This is Bill. 1 TBM, that is the current plan. And the TBM would actually start on the west side of the project at the Newhall, what we call the Newhall Yard, which is very close to the airport. And then it would proceed south and then east and then a little bit north and end up right at Phase 1 Berryessa. So 1 mining machine working from west to east.
Thank you, Bill. This question pertains to the Orange Line BRT project. What type of buses will be used? Are they trolley buses?
I don't think they're trolley buses. I don't think they'll have any sort of pantograph associated with them. I'm not sure 100%, but I would imagine they're either electric or diesel, most likely electric, but not the trolley buses, as far as I know.
Got it. Stay close, Jake. This next question pertains to the same project.
Sure.
When will an electrical BOM be available for the Orange Line project and East San Fernando project? Will specs be available on SmartBid or another document platform? So 2-part.
So I imagine we have the RFP as being released for the Orange Line project Q1 of 2022. So based on that, it would likely be Q2 of 2022. depending on procurement models. And then for the East San Fernando Valley job, we have the RFP predicted to be Q4 of 2022. So again, probably Q1 of 2023 there. And then what was the second part of the question?
The second part is, where will those specs be available? Smart bid, building connected, what document platform?
Sure, most likely building connected to keep consistent with what we're doing here on CP1. Most likely use the building connected platform.
Oh, thank you. The next question, I'm gonna guess pertains primarily to the BSV2 project, but could very well be a question applied to any of these. Will we get an opportunity to do one-on-one meetings? I think that's the most helpful to us subs, was the comment given with that.
Yeah, Kelly, I can take that from CP2. Yeah, absolutely. One of the things that we'll look forward to, if and when selected, is to have that initial meeting with interested firms. I mean, it's one thing to, do these broad presentations, involving, dozens, if not hundreds of people, but this is really about connecting one-on-one. And so, once we have started that notice of award, speaking relative to CP2, sometime in the April timeframe, when we start going into the procurement or even the outreach, I'm looking forward to, Zoom and Microsoft Teams have been great, but there is no substitute for, face-to-face and shaking hands and meeting each other and getting the opportunity to engage, one-on-one. And that's a real big part of our overall plan and our program. And we'll be looking forward to doing that again, if and when it's successful on CP2 sometime in that April-May timeframe of 2022.
Just a follow-up I'll grab is, what is the time frame that you expect those one-on-one meetings to occur?
Yeah, I think it's going to go kind of hand in glove with our procurement schedule. I think that, again, I'll just speak from the CP2 perspective. That's kind of the first one to launch. That would probably be in that April, May, June timeframe. So think second quarter of next year. And, we'll be doing them both, I would say, formally and informally, working with Kelly and her team to make sure that we're, have the boots on the ground opportunities to meet and engage one-on-one. Continuing off with what was done with the Meet the Prime events, where we were able to do some of that. But, that would be probably, in that second quarter of 2022 from a CP2 standpoint. And you know what? It's going to be an ongoing deal. It's a long job and, many years. And so, 2022 and then going forward, there's not just a one window of opportunity there. That window is going to be open for an extended period of time.
Thank you, Bill. Very thorough answer. Please elaborate.
Sorry, if I could add something to that real quick. The Northern California District has 3 offices here actually in Northern California, if you didn't already know. Our district office is in Fairfield. Then we also have an office in Milpitas, and we also have another office in Sacramento for these one-on-one meetings potentially on any of the pursuits we've talked about today in the Northern California region.
Thank you, Rita. Please elaborate on the expectations for subcontractors to manage BIM data sets in Kiewit mass projects.
Would you want me to take a stab at this one, Kelly?
Sure, Bill. No.
So BIM is a big part of all of the CPs. And I'll try to be a little less thorough this time. That in Kelly's language, that's Bill, your answer was a little too long, so kind of scale it back. So I'll try to abbreviate it a little bit here. What's so interesting about this mass transit, underground transit rail program of VTAs with the 4 different contract packages, all totally interrelated. The whole interface management aspect of BSV2 is significant. And VTA has correctly put a huge emphasis on that. And part of that integration, you might say, of all those contract packages is through the BIM modeling. And so speaking for CP2, that is a significant effort that CP2 is going to be initiating as the first contract out to really get a program in place such that when CP1 comes on, CP3, CP4, you know, they're coming in and engaging in an existing model as, you know, to make sure that this thing works holistically, because that's really going to be the key at the end of the day. The BIM is going to be a big part of that. And I know that from speaking for CP2, something that we're going to be looking for technical expertise on from the local community, as well as what we may have internally, but it's going to be a big effort.
Kelly,
Yes.
before we go much further, do you have, if you have any more questions, why don't we just add them to the presentation when we put this up online? Because there is a couple of slides we need to go to about how to get involved with the project from the VTA end. And if there's a really hot question that you see to be answered out loud, you can do that right now. But if not, we'll pass it over to Jennifer at VTA. Is that okay?
That is just fine. Thank you again for the opportunity. We will make sure that we turn it over.
And all right, so the other question that you see that might need to be answered, please select those, give us a written answer, and we'll put it online, okay? Thank you, and thank you to the whole team at Kiewit, Mass Electric, Kelly and Bill and Pullen, Tom, Britt, Meyer, Jay Myers, Sydney and Rita. You guys did a great job. We really do appreciate it. And I think that you'll be getting, there'll be a lot of people getting in contact with you. And that is our hope.
So we have some information that many of you may not know about how to work this new procurement portal. And I hope you stay on the line, and Jennifer is going to do that. I'm going to launch a poll and turn it over to Jennifer so she can describe what I'm going to relaunch the poll there. Describe next steps. Jennifer?
Awesome. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Jennifer Mena, and I am a management analyst with the Office of Business Diversity Programs here at VTA. Thanks so much for hanging on this long. We did want to make mention, recently we did change procurement portals. We priorly were using Procure Now, and they were bought out by OpenGov. So, you know, if you're already in there, great, you're still in there. But we do want to make mention that new vendors should set up their accounts in the system. And you can go to the URL that you see here, vta.org/business-center, and click on the green bar and register in the new portal. So when you click on the green bar, a new page is going to pop up. Click on that green bar, which is plus subscribe. And then the system's going to go through a series of questions, normal, you know, registration questions. If you want to forward to the next slide, that would be great. I think first of all, yeah, go ahead and forward. We've got a slide in between the two. How are you going to find upcoming opportunities? You will go to that same URL, select View Solicitations, and you're going to see that same screen as when you registered. So you'll notice that there are solicitations on the screen. Click that green bar. And if you are not subscribed, you will not be able to open any solicitations. So it's really important that first you subscribe and set up an account with OpenGov. And then you're able to open up solicitations and see what VTA has open there. There is another opportunity. If you're not set up, you can go ahead and just go in here and subscribe and begin to view things as you've set up your account. So please be sure as you're opening the solicitations and reviewing them that you look for the plan holders on each solicitation or on an individual solicitation. Those are firms that have already downloaded the documents, and they're larger firms that you're going to want to target your offer to, and you know, start building that relationship with those plan holders.
I think we have a slide later on that kind of shows how to do
that. That's where I got them mixed up.
That's okay. Next slide.
Great. So here is your slide on creating an account. Basic questions, basic information. You know, if you want to forward to the next slide in the interest of time. All right. Here you're going to then create your profile, and you'll see over on the, is that the right-hand side? Yeah, the right-hand side, the drop-down button, click company profile, because you're going to start setting up your company's profile and entering NAICS codes. If you'll select, click to the next slide,
I just wanted to underscore that most people don't realize you need to create a company profile in order to get a kind of customized view of contracts. So it's that drop down thing that a lot of people miss. So make sure you use that. And there's a number of questions for you to fill out, and NIC codes is one of them, but make sure you do
yes, that's where the NAICS codes comes in after the basic profile questions. And then you'll come over to this drop down here under projects, select for this particular discussion, the BART Silicon Valley option. So if you'll forward to the next slide, you will then get a list similar to this of all of the projects in the BART Silicon Valley arena, if you will. And we have several, they're coming out fast and furious, and will continue to do so through the life of the project. So that's kind of what this looks like here.
Next slide.
Yes, thank you. Oops, my phone, I didn't silence it. I apologize. Here, what you'll want to do when you find a project or a solicitation that you're interested in, click on it and make sure that you select that blue button, follow. Because once you begin to follow the project, you'll begin receiving notifications via email about updates, you know, whether they're addendums, you know, the awards, and all of the information that is associated with each particular solicitation. So next slide, please. Getting certified real quick. Next slide. If you're not certified as a small business or a disadvantaged business enterprise with VTA, we would urge you to do so. These certifications are online applications, and you can find the links to those two certifications here at this URL. And please note that registering in the procurement portal in OpenGov is different from becoming certified as a small or disadvantaged business. So it's two different applications, two different processes, and both must be done. You know, certainly the solicitations you need to do in order to receive updates on projects. Please advance to the next slide. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me. This is my email address, jennifer.mena@vta.org. I am happy to assist you in any way that I can to get you plugged in, to help with certification questions, direct you to the proper people for any questions on solicitations or this particular project. So I know we're running over and I don't want to take any more of your time, but thank you all.
I wanted to add that her email and information for both of those, and if you go to the next slide, is in the chat, and also upcoming events. In January, AECOM is going to be doing their contracting opportunity presentation January 20th. We're on a different day. We're hoping to do these on Thursdays instead of Tuesdays. And then the next Mentor Protege workshop is in February. We're skipping January, and it's going to be on business development in a hybrid world. And so I think that's very appropriate right now. So those are two. The links are in the chat to register. I want to thank everybody. Thank you, Jennifer, and everybody else who slammed through. And those of you who stayed on for this extra 5 minutes, thank you, thank you, thank you. You have a wonderful day, and we'll see you again soon.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Y'all.
I think Jake's.
Thank you again for joining us. We'd like to take this opportunity to answer a few additional questions that remained in the chat following the conclusion of the call. So I am going to start off with this first question. When will the electrical bid package be released for estimating? I believe that pertains to the systems.
Sure. Yeah. So for CP1, we're working on getting them out right now. Honestly, we're working on finishing our kind of pre-bid design based on the draft RFPs, and then we should be getting something out kind of early to mid-January is kind of what we're shooting for, if not earlier. So any day now, most likely kind of early January.
Thank you, Jake. Stay close by. I think this one pertains to you. It's a follow-on to the Orange Line. So it says if Orange Line uses electric buses, they will be trolley buses with collector poles. Clarification is that, I'm sorry. Clarification is that what bus system will the bus system be battery or power only, diesel only type instead? I'm sorry, they've got some extra words in there. Did that question make sense?
Maybe. So I think it's going to be the current, I think they're either diesel or electric buses initially. And then Daniel said that the phase 2 is to convert the line into a light rail. So currently electric or diesel buses, not overhead power. And then phase 2 would be to convert it to a light rail is the current understanding. But that job still has a little ways to go before it actually comes out. So we'll see what actually comes out to bid.
Thank you. Next one starts with a comment and then goes into a question. Thank you for sharing all the project details today. Can you share if you anticipate needing to recruit, hire more internal professional staff to support these complex projects? For example, project managers, engineers, project controls, administrative, etc. Has your team previously utilized outside recruiting agencies, and who might be best to follow up for this?
Well, hey, Kelly, let me take the professional services aspect of the question, and then maybe in that time you can think a little bit about from a recruiting standpoint, your thoughts on that piece of it. Yeah, we are looking to supplement our engineering team with what I call them PTEs, professional, technical, and expert services. We put a number of them on that slide. So, a big job like a CP2, the way I've always thought about it is that it is just made up of a lot of smaller projects. And when you start talking about the size of a project like CP2, that means there's a whole lot of smaller projects, including smaller scopes. So even though we may have internal skills to handle a piece of a scope on a PTE standpoint, we're also always looking to supplement that with other local entities as well. And one of the real benefits from that is the local knowledge. So, when you're starting to talk about some of your smaller, stormwater management or environmental aspects from a PTE standpoint, having somebody who's been there and working in the area and knows the regulations, the requirements, knows the people, is an invaluable asset that we are always looking to add to our team to help us get better on those individual scopes. So, I would say nothing's closed. Everything's open in terms of looking to supplement our team from a PTE standpoint.
Thank you, Bill. You know, you asked me to think a little bit about our response on the recruiting agencies. I am not quite sure what our policy is. I know we have a fairly robust recruiting team internal to our companies. I do know that we tend to leverage staff augmentation type firms, but I'm not aware of what our practices are for outside recruiting. So Bill, if you know anything more about that, feel free to jump in. Otherwise, I'll move to the next question, which I think is for VTA.
Yeah, no, nothing further to add, Kelly, other than I would say sometimes like informal recruiting is often a very great tool as well. You know, when we start talking about a craft force that's going to be required for CP2 and making sure that we have adequate workers, making sure that, you know, the pre-apprenticeship and the apprenticeship pipelines are getting fed, you know, so those kinds of, let's call them more informal recruiting. And even from the standpoint, if there's a professional service firm who has had an engagement with us, you know, could bring to us another professional service firm. Hey, you know, I've worked with, you know, firm XYZ, and they would be great for modeling, photography, you know, CAD services. I mean, the list goes on and on. I mean, we're always looking for that word of mouth connection as well.
Thank you. And this last question, does VTA accept other agency SBE, WBE certifications, for example, CPUC, Caltrans, LA Metro?
As far as I know, yes. I know that people get certified from a variety of different locations. The CPUC, there's a number of them. If you go online with VTA, they have a list of all the possible places that you could do it. So if you already have a certification from another agency, definitely contact Jennifer and make sure that it is accepted. But as far as I know, yes. And even they have some state interagency agreements as well. So you might be certified as a DBE outside of the state, and we have a reciprocal relationship. But if you have a specific question about your own certification, I would just call Jennifer. She'd be happy to answer you.
That concludes our Q&A. Thank you again.
Oh, yes, there was one other question, remember? It was something that someone asked and Britt answered. Do we need to fill out, I think it was the subcontractor questionnaire, if we have already done it for another CP with Kiewit?
That is a great question, and I will take that one. So the question was, if a firm has already completed the subcontractor questionnaire for CP2, perhaps for the KST JV team, do they need to repeat that process for CP1? We do want to be clear that it is two separate projects, two separate teams. However, if you notify us that you have completed the CP2 questionnaire and are interested in joining the CP1 database, we most certainly can copy over your profile and make sure that that team has your information.
Thank you so much. And we never know how many questions are going to come, and we had a lot of them and they were good ones. So thank you for taking the extra time to answer them. And I will make sure when we send out the link to the presentation and the recording that I'll let people know that those questions are answered at the end of the recording.
Great idea. Thank you.
All right. Have a great day. Now we can wish one another happy holidays.
Yeah.
And happy holidays to everybody who hung in there. There's 21 people that are still listening. So thank you so much. All right. Okay. Have a great.
Thank you so much, Carol.
Thanks, Carol.
Yeah. All right. Thank you, Carol.
Bye.